the trick is so many people hate it so badly that they'll do anything they possibly can to avoid making those calls. And now it's much harder to do 100 calls on Friday than it is to do 20 a day. I personally believe a little bit each day, just like you do with exercise, a little bit each day makes it much easier, and that consistency puts you into a habit rather than, oh no, it's Friday, I got to make 100 calls. It's why I don't like call blitzes. How do you feel about those?
I mean, I do like call blitzes, but I don't call them that. I call it like a power hour. I don't think like if you're saying call blitz, like, oh, once a week we get the team together and we make a blitz, like, I don't like that. It's like, dude, you need to be doing this on a daily basis so it becomes a habit. Just do an hour at a time. You don't need to block off 3 hours in a row to make cold calls. Like, sprint for an hour at a time. I think time blocking is very important. So it's like, can we talk about call reluctance, actually, like where that comes from? Because I think because you said, hey, people hate picking up the phone and like doing that. Well, let's kind of think about like why people might be reluctant, to do something. And I think there's a couple things associated with that. And since we are, people are very emotional, as like the old adage goes, people buy based off emotion and justify with logic. Well, turns out the science behind that's mostly true, right? Like Dan Ariely wrote a book called Predictably Irrational. That's the one thing that we can count on people doing, is being predictably irrational, right? So I think if you kind of look at the emotional aspects to how people feel about what they're doing, I think a couple things come to mind, right? If my goal when I'm cold calling is to set a meeting, I'm putting a ton of pressure on myself. If I go into the call blitz and I say, my goal is every time I talk to someone, I need to get a meeting, versus, well, what do I need to get a meeting? I actually need to start a conversation first. So if I'm trying to make working out a habit, instead of like, oh, I need to go work out, no, I just need to go to the gym. Make going to the gym a habit, So with this, make starting conversations a habit. So when I go into this cold call, I'm not thinking I need something from Jeff. If I go in needing something, that's what people in our industry refer to as commission breath, right? It's like I sense this person needs something from me. They're selling something, versus curiosity. I wonder if Jeff at his company might have something that they're having problems with that they might need my help with. I wonder. I'm curious. Then the tone completely changes too. I was just making cold calls this morning. It was interesting. I was on a Zoom coaching call, a couple dozen reps at a company we're working with, and they're just kind of call reluctant. So I was like, today I'm going to make cold calls for an hour with you guys and like prospect to your prospects. And it was pretty nerve wracking for me, man. I'm not going to lie, but it was really fun. I always like doing this. And the tone and everything is what people comment. And I'm like, I don't think about the tone. I just think about my goal. My goal is, hey, Jeff, Jason with Blissful Prospecting here. I know I'm probably catching you in the middle of something, but is it cool if I tell you why I'm calling here real quick? And you can let me know if you want to keep chatting. So you can kind of do like upfront contract, or like Sandler calls it, or permission-based opening, I call it, because there's so many variations of that you can do. And it's like, hey, I was on your website and I noticed this thing. And typically when I talk to folks like yourself, they're sometimes having this problem, or they want to accomplish this thing, and for whatever reason, this is getting in the way. Is it cool if I ask you a couple of questions just to see if this would even be relevant for you? And every time I did that, oh yeah, what's up? What do you want to know? It's just like you're kind of coming in your tone versus, hey, Jeff, Jason with Blissful Prospecting. My company does A, B, C, D, and I would love to get 30 minutes on your calendar later this week. What does your calendar look like tomorrow? Objection, hang up, right? It's going to be really tough if that's the way that you approach it. So I think the mindset around, what am I trying to accomplish? I'm just trying to start conversations. And what do I need to do? I need to do that in a way that makes it about them. I need to have some sort of research that I did. I need to talk about them. I need to talk about problems that people like them have, or companies like theirs have. And then I really need to ask questions around that. I don't need to talk about my product and service a ton. That's not the time and place for that. So I think those two things, if you wrap your head around that and you have a process of how you introduce a call, what questions you're going to ask, how you're going to close it. Like, I typically find that makes people less reluctant when there's, the personal training analogy. If I know that my goal is just to go to the gym and I have a workout plan that's prepared and I know exactly what I'm going to do when I get there, like, that's going to make it easier for you to go work out and do the thing that you don't really want to do if you remove all the barriers that could be up standing in the way of you doing that.
Brilliant.